Hi and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Today's video is going to be a book haul. I was going to film my wrap up for the months of June, July and August. Yes, I'm severely behind, but no, I've not quit the idea of wrap ups. They don't perform that well, but I love them and I'm never going to stop doing them as long as I'm doing book content on YouTube. That was going to be a thing that I filmed today, a huge video reviewing basically every single book that I read throughout these summer months. But we still have 2 days left of the month and I fear I'm slightly too type A to do that thing which people do where they potentially finish the book within the month and then they just add it to their next month's wrap up. I can't do that. It's unlikely I finish it, but I'm in the middle of too much and not in the mood. I'm 40 pages into this. It's 200 pages, so there's potential that this is finished within the month, and that would frankly ruin my life if I didn't add it in the wrap up. So today we're going to do a book haul. It feels like it wasn't that long ago since I filmed one of these, but it's been over 2 months, I believe. I think it's only because I haven't filmed a lot of sit down videos recently, so I feel a little bit kind of like it was more recent than it actually was. But yeah, regardless, we've got 10 books to mention here. Most of these I bought throughout the month of June. Yeah, lots of fun ones, a big range of genres, and as always, most of these were thrifted or bought for a cheaper price than retail. So without further ado, let's get on into the video. So the first book I have here is The Slow Regard of Silent Things by Rothfuss. So my friend Salome, she visited me from France. We've been internet friends since 2021, I believe. It's the first time we met in person, so that was really fun. She came and stayed with me for just over a week, I believe. She's also kind of a reader, which is fun. She wasn't when we first met, but she's definitely like kind of getting into it. So I decided to take her around all the bookshops, obviously. So we went to this one which is kind of like it's not discount, but it sells like bulk stock, so they had lots of books in there that are brand new but really inexpensive. I believe their hardcovers are only £5, so a paperback was even cheaper. This is one of the novellas in the, what is this series called? The King Killer Chronicles by Rothfuss. The first book being The Name of the Wind, which is currently standing as my favourite book of the year so far. I finished it earlier this year and I just absolutely fell in love with it. I've had bad reviews about the novellas, but I still think that I have to read it because I love Name of the Ring so much. So even if this is a flop, I'll be glad to have picked it up, and it was so cheap as well, like I said. Then Salome actually gifted me a book. I don't know whether she was reading this like as she travelled over to me or whether she just like brought it over specifically to give to me, but it is a lightly annotated copy of Pages for You by Sylvia Brownrigg. I actually hadn't heard this book. I looked it up on Goodreads and I don't think the reviews are that great, but Salome loved it, so I'm really excited to read a book that she loves. And I love when books are annotated by people. Like, I think it should be required for every single book you receive from someone to be annotated by them. If they've read it and loved it themselves, enhances the experience so much. So I'm excited about this. This, I believe, is a sapphic story, though beyond that I don't know a lot about it, but if my bestie likes it, then I'm gonna give it a go. Then we went to Waterstone's Piccadilly. I found that bookstore a little bit overwhelming, but I do like it for the amount of signed copies they have, and I found a book that I wanted to read for a while that was signed, so I decided to pick it up, and that is Funny Weather, Art in an Emergency by Olivia Laing. So like I said, this is a book I've had on my radar for a long time, but I've never had a moment where I've been like, yes, I'm going to purchase it now. So it's been kind of like in my TBR list for a long time, but I just didn't know when I'd ever get around to it, and then obviously finding a signed copy, I decided to not delay it any longer. So this is a collection of essays about art and culture, examining their role in our political and emotional lives. It explores loneliness and technology, women and alcohol, sex and the body, with characteristic originality and compassion. She celebrates art as a force of resistance and repair, an antidote to a frightening political time. I'm often told that this is not that great, so I have heard mixed things. I don't know, it's pretty polarizing. I feel like if I do get on with it, then I could really love it, so I decided to give this one a go. It's also a really cute cover. We love a pink cover. We also went to a bookstore closer to me and I picked up a NYRB. This is On Being Blue, a Philosophical Inquiry by William H. Guss. This is a study on the colour blue, which is my favourite. I've also wanted to get for a little while, but I've never seen it in store. I read a line from it and I was almost brought to tears because of how much I love the colour blue, so I decided to just buy the bullet and pay probably too much money for this tiny skinny paperback, but it just means a lot to me, the colour blue. Let me see, actually. No, not a single book on this stack have I read yet, so if you have any thoughts about them, if you've read them, please let me know what you think. Maybe don't tell me if you didn't like them. Feel free to say what you want. Then I went to a charity shop. I found The Winding Stair, Francis Bacon, His Rise and Fall, with an introduction by Francis King, by Daphne du Maurier, which is kind of a road pick for me. Basically, I'm collecting du Maurier's work in the Virago Monoclassics with the green spines. So when I saw this one in the charity shop, even though I don't particularly have any interest in Francis Bacon, I decided to pick it up. I did stand there for a long time kind of debating. I was with my mum and she was like, if you're collecting du Maurier's work, then maybe you'll like it regardless of what it's about because you enjoy her writing so much. And I feel like that could be true. There have definitely been moments in history that I've become more interested in because of a way that someone writes about it. For example, one of my favourite reads within the last couple of years is What Is Mine by Jose Enrique Bortolucci, following the life of a truck driver across Brazil, which I didn't think I'd had any interest in that, and I certainly didn't go into the book. The way it was written was so fascinating and so engaging that I just became really interested in this area of life that was so unlike my own. So maybe that can be the case with this one. I do like Damari's writing a lot, and I really like the idea of collecting all of her work and having them all kind of lined up on my shelves in the same edition. So we'll see how we get on with that, and also when I'll pick it up, because I'm not in a particular rush to do so. I might come across something in my life that was like related to Francis Bacon and I'd be like, yep, now's the time to be reading this book. I was with Lucy and we were in Waterstones and we found there was an early copy, or some early copies, of Atmosphere by Jenkins Reid. Not only were they early, but they were the Waterstones exclusive signed edition, so they came with these fun sprayed edges, which are really poorly done, I will say. There's been a lot of discourse on the internet about this, but it also came signed, so despite the shoddy job on the edge, I really wanted to pick this up because I do own, do I own more than one, or is it just Daisy Jones? No, I think it's just Daisy Jones and the Six I own signed from TJR. And obviously if a book is on my list to get anyway, and then I find it signed, I may as well get that edition. So yeah, this is really exciting. Following a group of NASA astrophysicists in the summer of 1980. It's historical fiction set a lot in space, or on a spaceship. I am not particularly excited by the contents of this book. I believe people have said that they would not have picked this book up had it not been TJR, and I feel kind of similarly to that. I've loved every single book that she's ever written. None of her recent books I haven't rated lower than 4, but I've rated none of her books lower than 3.5, so I'm hoping for a 4-star or above rating from this one too, but I need to pick it up and actually read it. I finally bit the bullet and I bought the most beautiful book in the world. I love this so much. I think this was in my midget book freakout tag as the most beautiful book I bought this year. This was also with Lucy, but in a different bookshop. This was in a science fiction fantasy bookshop. I got 2001: A Space Odyssey. This is by Arthur C. Clarke, and it is of course the book that inspired the Stanley Kubrick film. We were definitely on a space theme that day, but I just love this edition with the matte center. The design of it I think is just so flawless, and so of the film as well, which I think is really fascinating and definitely the draw as to why I wanted to pick this up. But this is just a sci-fi classic. I'm sure we've all heard about it. I don't think I've ever seen the film all the way through. I think I've seen it twice, where I've got like a part the way in, or I've joined halfway through or something like that. So I know what the general plot is, but I would like to read the book and then sit down and actually watch the film from start to finish. That would be good. And I'm so excited to finally own this beautiful edition. It's been sought after for a long time. I think I pre-ordered this, or maybe I just bought it on release or something. This is Never Been Shipped by Alicia Thompson, which is a rock star romance, which I love. Same author of Love in the Time of Serial Killers, which is a book I have zero interest in, but I have seen a lot of people get on with that well. I just don't like the idea of dark romance, or like, it's not dark romance, it's like, I don't like the idea of, I don't know, there's something about that book that just turns me off. I'm not going to get into it because that's not really the point, but basically I have heard that her writing is great, so I was excited in her follow-up from that one. Micah's relationship to music is complicated. Her band took off after being featured on a teen TV show, but the group broke up in no small part thanks to Micah's ex, the band's guitarist. Having spent years trying to make it solo, Micah is offered an opportunity to reunite with the band on a cruise, and she reluctantly says yes, even though she'll have to face the ghost of her past. John has been in love with Micah since they were kids, making music together, but never said anything for the sake of the band, her old relationship, and to preserve their friendship. A life away from music has made him miss the way his heart sang with her, so he boards the cruise too. On board, Micah can't help but see John with new eyes, and John's feelings only intensify. As this discordant band's tension grows to a breaking point, they'll have to decide if their relationship is more than a one-hit wonder. So I think we've got like a little bit of Daisy Jones and the Six in terms of this band that like was together and then fell apart, but instead of it just ending there, we're getting a bit of a reunion. We're also getting the guitarist and the singer enemies, or like the guitarist was the reason why the band fell apart. He just had a crush on her all along, so I think this will be really cute, fun, easy read. It also has a playlist in it, which we love to see. Let me name some of the bands here. 21 Pilots, Paramore, Elvis Presley, Phoebe Bridgers, The Cranberries, The White Stripes, Harry Styles, The Cure. So much Paramore actually, like 90% of these are Paramore songs, but yeah, should be a good time. Also the cover's really cute. A fun, silly romance book. Right, and then I have no idea where I got this from. I really can't remember it for the life of me, but I did find the other novella to the King Killer Chronicles. Not me making the exact same mistake for the first time. This is The Narrow Road Between Desires, also by Patrick Rothfuss, of course. The first one I know follows a side character, and it's exploring her life further because she really is just like someone who pops in for one little moment. Oh, okay, so this is following one of the characters in the present timeline who we don't know a lot about at the stage of Name of the Wind. I actually have to look into when you're meant to read the novellas because I really don't want to spoil anything in book 2 in case you have to read that one before the novellas, but we'll see. Really happy to find this again, and I believe I didn't pay full price for it, so I don't know where I got it, but it's new and it was discounted. And then finally, this is a bit of a different one. This year I subscribed to the Paris Review, which is a quarterly literary subscription, a literary magazine, prose, interviews, poetry and art. It's really beautiful. The aesthetic is absolutely on point. I think that's the reason why people are drawn to it initially, but they also do get a really good range of authors writing pieces for them. I have been interested in this subscription for a long time, but it is expensive. Because I'm working so much this year, I decided to treat myself to this. I'm not gonna lie to you, everybody. This experience has been one of the worst. From start to finish was such a mess, and I think it is because I'm international. This is an American subscription. The communication with the company is terrible. I really want to be honest about this because so many people are like, oh, look at this beautiful Paris Review, and they don't talk about any of the other sides of it. I'm sure people do have fantastic experience with them, but I personally have had a pretty nightmarish time. It's caused me a lot of anxiety and worry. But yeah, finally, this copy did turn up. It was internationally shipped in a piece of plastic, so it did come damaged, which is great when you're paying like £30 a copy, but that's the least of my problems right now with this subscription company. But the second one came in much better condition. So this is the Paris Review Spring 2025, so it's issue 251, and I'm yet to read it, but I had to flip through and it looks very interesting. I don't know, I just feel kind of soured about this experience because of how much of a mess it's been. I might go into this in more detail later, but for now I want to give this a go. I've got a year subscription, so I think it expires with the winter issue, so I've got spring, summer, autumn, winter, and then hopefully it will end and won't roll over into the next year. I need to make sure that happens because trying to have anything to do with these people is impossible. One of the main things is that this subscription is a year subscription, comes with the physical copies as well as digital access, and I haven't been able to get digital access despite calling them and having email exchanges with them multiple times. So I'm paying for something that I'm not receiving, which is great. But yeah, that's just the icing on the cake, I believe. This is this. I'll show you what it looks like. I will let you know how I get on with it. I'll definitely include these in wrap-ups. There's so much text in here, it basically is like a novel. Sorry to end that on a negative note, but I did want to be a bit honest. Those are 10 books that I bought kind of recently, and yeah, excited to get to all of them. Let me know which ones I should prioritize or which ones I should read first, which ones you want to see in reading vlogs. That would also be really helpful for me because I'm very happy to do that. And I'll see you super duper soon in a few days for another video. Bye bye.